Finding your comfortable seat. Letting the backs of your thighs feel supported on the chair. And letting your sit bones rest down deeply into the cushion of the chair or the seat of the chair. Let your feet rest down and let the ankles be more or less underneath the knees. Let the shoulders melt down. It might feel good to squeeze them up to the shoulders first and then release them down a couple of times. Maybe with an audible sigh. Might feel good to wiggle a little bit side to side, forward to back, finding your center of balance. Once you feel like you're centered, crown of the head lifting up, the spine reaching or lengthening, let the hands rest wherever they feel good, palms up or palms down. Once you have your tall seat, eyes can be open or closed. Your choice. If the eyes are open, let the gaze be quite soft, almost like you're blurring your eyes a little bit. And can you bring a sense of heaviness to the elbows, to the hands, letting the arms really rest down. Can you bring some softness to the jaw? How about some softness to the belly? Would it feel okay to send your breath even more deeply into your body? Let the legs feel heavy. The thighs resting down on the chair, the feet resting down on the floor. Let the sit bones feel even heavier. Let the crown of the head gently reach up even higher. Finding a balance between the heaviness of the sit bones and the lightness of the head. Noticing your breath. Maybe noticing the temperature of the air as you breathe in and as you breathe out. Maybe noticing the expansion of your belly as you breathe in. And the gentle contraction of the belly as you breathe out. When you're ready, let's start moving gently into the head, starting with tipping the chin down towards the chest on an exhale. And pausing here, breathing space. Imagine directing your breath right into the back of your neck. And with an inhale, let's lift the head, tipping the chin up towards the sky, gently, not cranking into the back of the neck. Breathing here for a couple of moments. And then we'll move with breath. Next exhale, we'll tip the chin down towards the chest. And next inhale, we'll lift the gaze, lifting the head. following the rhythm and pattern of your own breath. And when you're ready, slowly bring your head back to center. Pausing to notice any sensations here. Let's move into the shoulders a little bit. Bringing the shoulders into a circle, rolling the shoulders. And when you're ready, switching directions, rolling the shoulders the other way. And then releasing the hands back down into your lap, releasing the shoulders, noticing any sensations in the shoulders. Let's tip the head from side to side, and we'll bring the shoulders into the mix just a little bit, just for optional variations. With an inhale, keeping the head nice and tall, looking forward. With an exhale, tipping one ear towards one shoulder. And then pausing here for a moment. How would it feel to make the opposite shoulder feel a bit heavier? Would it serve you to let the arm hang down by your side? Would it serve you to turn your nose towards the shoulder? Maybe playing between ear to shoulder and nose to shoulder. It might feel good to move between those 2 points a little bit. Or it might feel better just to stay somewhere along this continuum. Deciding what your body's asking for. When you've had enough, allowing the head to come back up to center. If your hand was down by your side, replacing it back in your lap and noticing sensations here for a moment. And setting up in the tall seat again, inhale. Then exhale, other ear to other shoulder. Pausing here. Continuing to breathe. How would it feel to make the opposite shoulder again heavier? Would it serve you to reach that opposite arm down beside you? And how would it feel to turn nose towards the shoulder? And coming back to ear to shoulder. You could move between these 2 points, or you could hold in one spot, either on either end with nose towards shoulder or ear towards shoulder or somewhere in between. You find that there are any spots that just feel good to sit and breathe into. When you're ready, bringing the ear back towards the shoulder, the nose is there. And inhaling the head back up to center. And replacing the hands on your lap or releasing the hands. Noticing any sensations. Coming back to the shoulders a little bit, let's reach out beside. So arms might be up in a T or a little bit lower than the shoulders. Let's flip the hands up or flip the palms up, fingertips towards the sky. Breathing as though you're reaching out through the heel of your hand for a few breaths. Then we'll flip palm or fingertips to the floor, reaching out through the tops of your wrists. Keep breathing. Fingertips up to the sky again, reaching out through the palms of your hands, heel of your hand. And then fingertips to the floor, reaching out through the top of your wrist. And releasing the arms, shaking out the hands, wiggling the arms, shoulders, whatever sort of counter movement feels right. And then we'll stretch the arms out one more time, this time having the hands as if they were grasping doorknobs, the round kind, not the banana kind. And then we'll turn the doorknobs towards the front of the room. And then towards the back of the room. So continuing to breathe and continuing to move forward and back, exploring this internal and external rotation. Internal rotation is forward, and external rotation is back. A few more times, exploring your range of motion. Maybe letting this be the last round. It's surprisingly hard to hold arms up by your sides. You get tired quickly. Then releasing the hands when you're ready. Maybe again, shaking out the wrists, shaking out the arms. Let's move into, keep working with the arms a little bit, but we won't stretch them out to the side this time. We'll find our sort of Superman arms reaching forward. With an inhale, we'll draw the elbows back behind us, and in doing so, pulling the shoulder blades towards each other. So that might feel as though you're pushing your heart forward. And breathing here. Then releasing when your next exhale arrives, reaching the fingertips forward. And we'll move with breath, inhaling to draw elbows back. Exhaling to bring the fingertips forward again. Moving with your breath, inhaling. And exhaling. About twice more. And then releasing the hands by your sides again or down in your lap. Finding any counter movement. One more shoulder thing. I will stand up so that you can see what I'm doing, but you can stay as you are. So either, if it feels okay to interlace hands or fingers behind your back, you can find that, interlacing fingers. If this doesn't feel good, you can also hold wrists or reach for opposite elbows. So then in either of these variations, you're reaching either the hands, the fingers down towards the ground, or reaching forearms down towards the ground. Sort of reaching, so you're almost stretching into the fronts of your shoulders. So you might be sitting in the chair, you're reaching down towards sort of the back area of the seat of the chair, or standing if that works better, gives more space. Maybe one more breath if it feels okay. And then we'll release the hands, coming back to a seat, and we'll move into our spine. We'll continue down the body a little bit. Start with a side bend this morning. For a side bend, let's bring either fingertips to the shoulders, if that feels okay, and then we would reach the elbows out as far apart as possible. Or if this doesn't feel good on the shoulders, we can reach down towards the ribs. Same idea, we're reaching the elbows out wide. Inhaling nice and tall. As you exhale, tipping to one side. And inhaling back up. And exhaling to the other side. Inhaling back up, moving with your breath now, twice more on each side. Reaching out through the elbows. Keeping the sit bones heavy. And releasing the hands once more. If there are any counter movements that feel like they need to be made, making those, a little shake. Let's find our twist. Sitting forward on your chair to give yourself a little more space, sit bones towards the edge. We'll find the variation where one hand comes to the opposite shoulder and the other hand comes to the waist. So inhaling nice and tall. As you exhale, let's use the elbow to draw us back, and as though the hand on the shoulder is helping to push the shoulder back gently, aiding in the twist. If it would feel good to look over your shoulder, that's an option. If it would feel good to stretch your eyes as though you could look even further back behind you, that's an option too. Breathing here. With your next inhale, unwinding, making your way all the way back, center, releasing the hands, and noticing any sensation. If you're using the eyes, maybe squeezing and opening the eyes a couple of times. Setting up on the other side, other hand comes to the shoulder. Say hand to the waist as well. You can see I'm avoiding lefts and rights completely today. Finding that nice tall seat. And then as you exhale, using your elbow to draw you back, using the hand on the shoulder almost to push you gently around, and finding your twist. If it would feel good to look over the shoulder, that's an option. And you can also look out through the corner of your eye. Remembering to breathe. And then slowly, when you're ready, unwinding, making your way back to center. Releasing the hands as you arrive, noticing any sensations. And then let's find our cat-cow variation. So letting hands rest on your knees or thighs. I'll turn sideways so you can see the movements I'm making. From this tall seat, breathing, finding stability in the feet, a gentle push of the feet into the ground to keep the legs really stable. When your next exhale arrives, let's push the knees or thighs away, rounding the spine. Shoulder blades will spread apart and the belly comes towards the back of the chair. With an inhale, we'll draw the chest forward through the upper arms. The gaze might lift and the pelvis might tip forward a little bit. Exhaling again to round the spine like a cat. Inhaling to draw the chest and belly forward, cow. Moving through these two shapes with your own breath a few more times. Then making your way back to center as you're ready. Finding your tall seat, crown of the head lifted, and noticing sensations in the body. Moving down into the legs. So finding that slightly forward position, so sit bones are still stable, but the legs have a little more space to move. Let's reach back behind us on the chair. So you're holding the seat of the chair behind you. Drawing the shoulder blades back towards each other. So there's a little bit of expansion in the chest. And then we'll stretch the legs out in front of us. Heels come to the floor. Feet are flexed. Reaching out through the heels, the legs might come straight or they might remain a little bit bent. You might find that there's a gentle stretch in the backs of the legs. Imagine reaching your toes towards your shins. Then let's release the legs, bending again, bringing them in. Releasing the hands from behind you, bringing the hands back to your lap. We'll set up for another variation of that similar stretch. We'll bring hands to the waist. Again, stretching the heels out in front of you, legs moving towards straight, feet flexed. Pushing out through heels and breathing. And let's draw the legs back, feet to the floor, bending the legs, releasing the hands. One more variation. This time we'll do one leg at a time. Stretching, let's do the right side. Reaching the heel into the floor, bringing the toes towards your shin. Again, we'll bring hands to hips, inhaling up tall. This time, how would it feel to move with breath by tipping forward on the exhale and inhaling to come back up. Exhaling to tip forward. Inhaling back up. As you tip forward, imagine pulling the elbows back behind you, keeping the chest broad. One or two more tips. Let's bring the right leg back in, bending the leg, releasing the hands for a moment. Noticing any sensations or differences from one side to the other. And then we'll move to the left leg, stretching the left leg out long, heel pushing into the floor, toes flexed or foot flexed, toes pulling towards the shin. Hands coming to the waist again. Imagine drawing your elbows back behind you. As you exhale, maybe tipping forward. And then inhaling back up. Moving with your breath. Oh, one or two more. When you've had enough, coming back up to the tall seat. Releasing the stretched leg, bringing both soles of the feet to the mat, and noticing sensations. Okay, final stretch. We're going back to both legs, reaching both heels forward, flexing both feet. Hands come to the waist. As you exhale, tipping forward any amount. And then breathing there, staying in the forward position if that feels okay. Maybe two more breaths. And then slowly coming back up. Releasing the feet back to the floor. Releasing the hands. Let's find our hip circles. So let's start with left leg, drawing left leg up towards you. And holding your leg in any position that feels good, knowing we're coming into circles. Letting the circles be as small or as big as feels good in your body this morning. Let's switch directions for the hip circles. And then bringing the leg forward. We will find some ankle circles next. Switching directions when you're ready. Pointing and flexing the foot a few times. Maybe spending just a moment more on the flex, or on the point, since we've flexed a bunch already with our leg stretches. And then let's let's release this foot all the way down to the floor. Noticing sensations from one leg to the other. And then coming over to the right leg. Drawing the leg up towards you. Holding it any way that feels good. And then we'll find some hip circles this side. Switching directions when you're ready. And then drawing the leg forward. Finding some ankle circles, right side. Switching directions as you're ready. Then pointing and flexing the foot. Maybe spending slightly more time on the point. And then releasing right foot back to the mat. Let's move into the toes a little bit. We don't always do toes. So not looking at your toes. Lift all the toes up off the mat. And then place all the toes back down. One more time, lifting all the toes up. And then placing them all back down on the mat. Now lifting just the big toes. And then placing the big toes down. Lifting all but the big toes. Replacing all the toes on the mat. Let's go back. Big toes only. Lifting big toes. Then releasing the toes. Lifting all toes except the big toes, leaving those down. My fingers want to go as well. Then releasing the toes. Finding any wiggling, scrunching of the toes. That would feel good. Maybe a little shake of the foot, one at a time. And let's find our sun salutations. So setting up, whether the legs like to be exactly where they are, more or less parallel, which will allow a little bit of compression between belly and thighs as we come forward into a forward fold, or legs wide to allow space for the torso to come through. So whichever variation you prefer. Sitting up nice and tall, letting the feet firmly push into the ground in either position. And with an inhale, we'll sweep the arms up as high as they feel good going, as long as the shoulder feels okay. And then exhale, hands back down to the thighs. With an inhale, we'll draw chest and belly forward, lifting the gaze, cow pose, shoulder blades pulled together. Exhaling to round the spine, cat shape. Inhaling back to a tall seat, crown of the head lifts. And exhaling to fold forward. With an inhale, we'll sweep right arm up into a twist. Exhaling the right arm down. Inhaling the left arm up into a twist. Exhaling left arm down. Coming back to a tall seat, both arms sweep up as high as they feel good going. Exhaling, hands back to thighs. Pausing for a moment, noticing sensations. We'll move through 2 more sun salutations seated. With your next inhale again, we'll sweep the arms up. Exhaling, hands back to thighs. Inhaling to draw the chest forward, belly forward, gaze lifts. Exhaling to round the spine, cat shape. Inhaling to a neutral spine, crown of the head lifts. And exhaling to fold forward. With an inhale, we'll sweep the right arm up into a twist. Exhaling the right arm down. Inhaling left arm up to a twist. Exhaling left arm down. Inhaling to come back to a tall seat, arms sweep up as high as they feel good going. Exhaling, hands back to thighs. Breathing for a moment, noticing any flow of energy. Adjusting the feet if they would feel good to adjust, or leaving them as they are if that feels good. Last one, with an inhale, we'll sweep the arms up. Exhaling, hands back to thighs. Inhaling, chest and belly forward, cow pose, shoulder blades pull together. Exhaling to draw shoulder blades apart, belly rounds or spine rounds, cat shape. Inhaling back to a tall and neutral spine. Exhaling to fold forward. With an inhale, we'll sweep right arm up into a twist. Exhale, right arm down. Inhale, left arm up into a twist. Exhale, left arm back down. Coming back to a tall seat, inhaling the arms to sweep up. Exhaling, hands back to thighs. And breathing here for a moment. And let's come all the way to standing. Any way that feels good this morning. Let's use the backrest of the chair this morning. You might find that standing flow towards the end before we come to seated again. We'll see how our time goes. So let's start by stepping the feet wide as you feel stable, as wide as comfortable while still being stable. Toes begin by facing forward. And then we'll come up onto the left heel, turning the whole leg so that the left toes point towards the chair. Keeping an eye on your knee, we'll bend into the knee any amount, being aware of the position of the knee and making sure it tracks with the middle toes. We don't want to let the knee collapse in or out. So keeping it in line. So this bend can be quite shallow or it can be deeper, whatever feels right this morning. And then if you're feeling stable, we can reach arms out wide into a warrior two shape. One hand can also stay on the chair. And then we'll move here with breath. So whether one hand is on the chair or both hands are reaching out. With an inhale, we'll flip the palms up, straighten the front leg, and reach the arms up as high as feels okay for shoulders. So this might be coming into a cactus shape or reaching up and overhead, your choice. With an exhale, we'll come back into that bent position, palms facing down, warrior two. So inhaling to straighten the leg, reaching the arms. Exhaling to bend the leg, bringing the arms back down. Your version. Inhaling up. Exhaling to bend. Inhaling up. Exhaling to bend. Maybe one more time if it's feeling okay for the knee. Then we'll pause in our warrior two, gazing over the left fingertips. Feeling strong in the legs, making sure the knee is not collapsing forward. And then we'll straighten the leg, release the arms, release the toes forward. Either stepping or heel-toed feet back together. Little shimmy, wiggle. And we'll find that same flow sequence on the other side. So switching the position of your chair. Again, setting your feet up so that they're nice and wide, but still feeling stable. Toes facing forward as much as possible to begin. And then coming up onto the right heel and turning the whole leg so that the toes point towards the chair. Peeking down at your knee. Bending into the right knee, making sure the knee stays in line with the toes. And again, you've got a choice of how deep this bend is. It can be quite deep or it can be quite shallow, somewhere in between. As you're ready, as you find that bend that feels good, We'll reach the arms out, or one hand can stay on the chair. Maybe gazing over the right fingertips, finding our warrior two shape. And then we'll move with breath. With an inhale, we'll flip the palms up, reaching the arms up, either overhead or into cactus, straightening the front leg. And then exhaling to bend again, bringing the arms back to a warrior two shape. Moving with your breath. Inhaling to lift, exhaling to come back down. Reversion. But one more after this, if it feels okay to keep moving this way. Then the next time you land in warrior two, we'll stay here, peeking down at the knee, making sure the knee's not collapsing one way or the other, in line with your toes. And then we'll release the legs, bring in the toes forward, heel toe the feet back towards each other, releasing the arms, maybe finding a full body little shimmy. Any counter movement that feels good or necessary. And then let's find our balance. So since we've warmed up the hips a little bit, we'll find a balance that is also a hip opener. Well, tree is, but we'll do something different than tree today. We'll start off with the chair in the same position. And we will start by standing on the left leg furthest from the chair. So you might come up onto the right toes. And let's hop the toes towards the left. So this might be where we stay. This might be a balance. Or if the foot feels good to lift, you could draw or slide the ankle up the standing leg as high as it feels good to come. If your ankle comes above the knee of the standing leg, then we will flex the right foot. And in any position, we'll think about sending right knee out and away from you down towards the floor. From here, maybe one hand stays on the chair. Maybe the arms reach out like branches, or maybe come to midline. You can decide what feels right for your hands. If it would feel good to bend slightly into the standing leg, that's an option. It may or may not serve you. And breathing, remembering to breathe, wherever you are. Letting the breath flow as smoothly and easily as possible, even in this unstable position. Then if the standing leg is bent, we'll straighten it. Unwinding the top leg, maybe reaching the leg out in front of you, lifting as high as possible, and then releasing the foot to the floor. Finding a little shimmy and shake, a little love for the hips. And let's switch the position of the chair so that the left hand has the opportunity to be the stable hand as well. Standing on the right leg now. The left toes get light, and we'll hop the left toes over to the right side. This might be where we stay, letting the knee come out to the side, toes on the ground. If it would feel good to lift that foot, we'll slide the ankle along the standing leg as high as it feels okay to go. If it gets above the right knee, then we'll flex the left foot. Deciding where you want your hands. Maybe one hand stays on the chair. Maybe you've got branches reaching out. Maybe hands or one hand comes to a prayer position. Option to bend into the standing leg. And we're thinking about sending left knee down and away from you. Breathing can help to find a focal point, something that isn't moving, maybe a couple of feet in front of you on the floor. And then let your breath flow as smoothly and easily as possible. 2 more breaths if it feels okay to be here. Then we'll stretch into the standing leg if it was bent. Unwind the standing leg. Stretching out the lifted leg, lifting as high as possible before releasing to the ground. The hips might need a little love again. Anywhere else that might feel good. If it would feel good to take a big stretch while we're here, we could do that. Either reaching fingertips up and overhead, maybe stretching the arms wide. Feet could be together if that felt better, but feet can also be wide, maybe a star shape. Just taking up as much reach and space as feels good in your body. Before releasing arms, bringing the legs back together if they were apart. And let's come back to our chair. So settling into your chair once more, letting the sit bones feel heavy. Again, feel that the weight is more or less evenly distributed. Let the thighs rest down on the back of the chair, or the seat of the chair. And feel the soles of your feet and each of the toes on the ground. Softening the crown of your head, forehead, the skin on your face, the cheeks, the nose, the mouth. Softening the throat, the chest, letting the shoulders melt down, feeling soft and heavy. Letting the upper arms soften, the elbows be heavy, and resting the forearms. Letting the palms and backs of the hands feel heavy. Letting each of the fingers feel heavy, soft, resting down. Letting the torso feel heavy and soft. Softening the ribs, the belly, shoulder blades, spine, the low back. Letting the belly soften, allowing the breath to continue to move freely, smoothly, easily. Softening the pelvis, the thighs, the knees, the low legs. Softening the ankles, the tops of the feet, the toes, soles of the feet, and the heels. Letting the body feel as soft and relaxed as possible, and allowing the breath to flow through you. When you're ready, either leaving hands exactly where they are. You could bring hands over your heart or into Anjali Mudra, the prayer position. Sending gratitude to yourself for making the time to practice, to move and breathe, honoring your body and breath. With gratitude for allowing me to guide you through the practice today. And with gratitude to all the students and teachers who have come before us. Om Shanti Shanti. Om Peace. Peace, peace.